Good morning and welcome to The Splash. I'm your host, Maddie Mustin. If you're joining us this morning with your cup of coffee on this beautiful Friday morning, welcome and excited to join us for the live version of The Splash. We're going to be here every morning, Monday through Friday from 9:30 until 10. We're going to be sharing you all the West Bloomfield news, the fun events that are going on, and we're going to have a couple of interviews for you today, sharing the West Bloomfield news and highlighting our beautiful community, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Kiko Harbor, and West Bloomfield. We're going to start off today by sharing our new feature. We're going to be having a QR code that you can scan to nominate our Person of the Week. So we've done the Person of the Week in the past, but this time we're going to be able to do an interactive kind of feel with our audience and be able to have them send in nominations for either a person, so that can be a teacher, a student, anyone that you feel is making an impact in our community, as well as a business that you think we should highlight on The Splash. We're going to be doing either a local hero or someone that you think deserves to be featured here. We can do a package, do a fun video that we have normally done in the past if you watched our Person of the Week on the Splash episodes when we did them on Tuesdays. So if you want to scan that code, you can fill out that Google form there and submit your nominations. We're going to run through the events in West Bloomfield going on this week and in the future. So we have the ongoing Farber Center Soul Studio. They are doing their holiday market, and they also have the exhibition, exhibition that you can go in and visit there. That is the holiday market. They are selling artist-made gifts, so they have some clothing, some mugs, some jewelry, things that are all made in-house by their local artists that they have there that work there, and then that community ties exhibition. This is something that they have there that you can walk around and go see, and this is made by one of their artists that they brought in, showing that through the differences that we have in our community, through the tough times that we've experienced over the past few months, that we are stronger together, and the West Bloomfield community, when brought together, can overcome adversity. The other event that we have is the Pictures with Santa Premier Pet Supply event. So this is a one-day event. It's going to be Saturday from 10 until 11 a.m. So you can bring in your furry friend and get pictures with Santa. They will have $10 admission, so you can get that ticket there. You can visit their website or call them at Premier Pet Supply. So this is going to be on Orchard Lake Road, on the corner of Orchard Lake Road and Maple Road here in West Bloomfield, just down the street from our Civic Center TV broadcast center. And this is a perfect opportunity if you like to include your pet on your Christmas card or get some ornaments done there. And then our next event is the Create Your Own Narrative workshop. So this is something that is a exercise class. It's a yoga class. It is taught at Yoga 6. So this is in West Bloomfield. Their yoga instructor, Julia, is going to be holding a slow flow class that also includes journaling. So this is something that through journaling and yoga, through meditation, you can kind of create your own path and really think about, with the upcoming holidays, making sure that you are creating mindful intentions and really taking a moment to yourself. So this is a great class. You can register online at their website at yoga6.com. You can also call them and get registered through there. And then our last event is something that we talked to Steve Kaplan about. This is a Toys for Tots drive. This is ongoing. So this is through the police department. You can go and drop off toys for the Toys for Tots event. They have a couple of different categories. Steve Kaplan said that the infants and the teenagers are a group that is not overlooked, but a lot of the times people bring in toys for the toddlers and the preschoolers, those fun toys that you can get there at a Target or a Walmart. So he urged everyone to look at the teenage boy and girl category as well as the infants and try to bring toys there. So they will be accepting toys through business hours at the fire department, and you can also call them if you have any questions about that or contact Steve Kaplan. And if you have an event that you'd like us to feature on our daily featured events, please contact us. You can message us on social media. It's Civic Center TV, and then our Facebook is Civic Center TV 15. So message us there. We would love to feature any events that you think we should be letting our guests know are up and about in the West Bloomfield community. And we are so happy to have a regular guest. So our regular guest is going to be Suzanne Levine on Fridays. She is the Executive Director for the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. She really works with the West Bloomfield community and the businesses to make sure everything is in tip-top shape and that the West Bloomfield community is being served to the best of its abilities. Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. I know that speaking on behalf of the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, they're very excited about this opportunity, to host some of what's going on with our businesses and by all means help support them, especially during these, difficult times.
Yeah, of course. So could you first off explain a little bit about what you do in the chamber and a couple of the people that you work with specifically in the West Bloomfield community?
Well, originally, the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, as most commerce locally, were created to serve. They're the voice of the community, the voice of the business community. So that's what we're here to do. So I have created all different kinds of networking groups to help give a voice not only to businesses locally, but even regionally. Because what has happened is that even though originally we were just the voice of Sylvan Lake, Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield, now we find that businesses as far as Ann Arbor want to be part of our chamber because they know that people in this area were a bit more affluent than some of the other areas, but that people will drive to come to our community and shop at our local businesses or eat at our restaurants or even see, doctors or visit beauty salons. So it's really been great. Within the chamber, in the past, we have our senior resource group, which has been very, very successful. It's open only to chamber members, but these are businesses that want to deal with senior services. So whether it's assisted living, the hospitals, real estate agents, home health care workers, these are all people that want to serve the senior community. And we've partnered with West Bloomfield Parks and Rec, and we actually have classes for the seniors. These are free to seniors. I have a Women's Inspiration Network, a WIN, where we have guest speakers that kind of deal with topics that are particularly important to women. We have our Business Innovation Generator, where we bring in guest speakers to talk about everything from sales to marketing. And we know that this is so important, especially today, social media issues. We have our Connect with an Expert, where we have people in the healthcare field or financial experts to give some free advice. And of course, we have our leadership breakfast, which thank you, Civic Center TV, for covering. We do that every year where we have some really great speakers. This year we had Casey Crane, President and CEO of Crane Communications, and our fabulous Roop Raj was our MC from our local Fox 2, and he's always been great. So we're hopefully, looking at the future, we're really just trying to engage more of our community and trying to serve them as best as we can.
Yeah, and you've been the executive director since 2012, engaged with the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. Obviously, you mentioned you have been making sure that we have a very diverse population here in the Greater West Bloomfield community, so making sure that those groups have a place to go and share ideas. Do you have anything up and coming in the woodworks, any special events or other groups that you, as the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, have rolling?
Well, we are looking forward to, 2022. As you noticed, this past fall, we had that you also covered, thank you, our health and wellness fair in conjunction with West Bloomfield Township, our leadership breakfast. And I think going forward, normally we would have our not so white elephant holiday party where we pick a local chamber or actually a local community partner. It's any local charity. And we would, have a raffle for them, and it was a lot of fun. We noticed that a lot of the venues do not want to have that this season, so we decided why not do it in January, February, when maybe people that have been burned out from all the holiday celebrating. Maybe it'll be a fresh start. So we're going to do that. It's one of our local venues. It's a great way for people and for the chamber to give back to a small local charity. We're going to have our installation of our chamber officers. We're going to reinstitute our Cup of Connections, which is open to anyone in the community where it's just a drop in, grab a cup of coffee at one of our local coffee establishments. And we're just trying to plan ahead for having a couple leadership breakfasts, we used to have an awards dinner, but because of the pandemic, obviously we couldn't have it the past 2 years. So I think we're going to do like an awards breakfast. It's our opportunity to thank all the people in our community, honor those people that serve our community, the unsung heroes, whether it's in health or business or young entrepreneur of the year. So we have a lot of exciting things in the works for 2022.
And then, as you mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the events that you guys have put on. How impactful is it to be able to have these in-person events, those socially distanced events, and make sure that these businesses are able to connect with the people in the community, as well as, those groups that you mentioned, to be able to sit and share their ideas and make the West Bloomfield community a better place?
Well, I think it's so impactful because regardless of how much social media marketing you have, there are certain fields like health and money are trust issues. So it's really important to establish these one-on-one relationships. And I don't think any amount of social media is going to replace that. But Civic Center TV has done a great service because at least, people can, sort of meet some of our local business community leaders, our businesses, and kind of have a tour of what's going on in their business and how these businesses want to serve the community. Obviously, small local businesses are the backbone of our country, and we need to support them. And I think November 27th is, support small business. So I urge everyone to go out into our community. We have so many fabulous local businesses that they can support, go in and buy a gift card. And we've been trying to do that with our SOS campaign, Support Our Shops, where every month we have 2 different trivia questions. And thanks to our partner, LaFontaine Automotive Group, they are supplying the gift cards. So the first person to answer the trivia question gets a gift card from a local business. So it's a great way to bring business into a store that maybe people didn't realize, that Guys and Gals or Crispelli's or any of our Closet Envy, that we have all these really great small local businesses that we really need to support.
And then if someone wants to get involved at the Chamber of Commerce, how would they go about? Would they reach out to you, send an email if they have either a small business that wants to be featured or just getting involved with the community?
Absolutely. They can either contact me at wbloomfieldchamber@gmail.com. They can go to our website, westbloomfieldchamber.com, and sign up for our newsletter, which all of our e-blasts, all of our coming up events. Right now, we have not restricted any of our virtual events. We want to include as many people to see some of our local businesses. We have great speakers that give free information, or they can join our chamber, which is probably the best way to get connected, because I consider myself a business matchmaker. So I love when I'm able to put 2 diverse businesses together that maybe didn't have the ability, or we know that a cold call is very difficult to just walk into a business and say, hey, I want to do business with you. But this is a warm introduction. So this is just a really great way. The Chambers of Commerce serve such an important gap between, marketing and one-on-one, because they're the ones that are able to bring the community, the business community together.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning, Suzanne.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm wishing everyone out there a wonderful, safe Thanksgiving. And I know that I'm very grateful for everything that Civic Center TV does to cover all of our events. You provide such an important community service. You're really our unsung hero. So from the community, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, thank you.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. That means a lot. So don't go anywhere. Right after this short break, we're going to be visiting Farber Center, their Soul Studio. We mentioned them in our events calendar, but we're going to look at their holiday items and their exhibition that they have there.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
You know, it's peaceful, it's quiet, and the noise and stress of life can sometimes disappear.
It's the Great Lakes water, and so what people do ends up in our waterways.
It's for our health and safety, it's for our economy, it's for protecting the environment that we all enjoy and we all need to survive.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
We're all about one water in this region. We're all connected. We all have a role.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
West Bloomfield is absolutely packed with talent, and here at the Farber Center, this local art studio is here to showcase the great work of many local artists. Welcome to Soul Studio, a supported studio art program for adults 18 and up with special needs. We at The Splash got an inside look with Mia Serafini at this amazing program.
Soul Studio has been open since 2016, but we did have a pilot program that started in 2014.
A program regarded as a soul studio on a much smaller scale. During our interview, Mia also gave insight on the nonprofit organization known as Friendship Circle.
Soul Studio is a project of Friendship Circle, and Friendship Circle is a nonprofit organization that provides support, programs, community to children, teens, and adults with special needs and their families.
We also asked about the wide range of projects artists produce, as well as the upcoming holiday market.
We do fibers, so that's weaving, sewing, needle felting. We do ceramics, so that's clay, and we have a kiln, so we can do all the firing and glazing in-house. We have a mixed media studio, which is drawing, painting, sculpture. We just started our holiday market that will run through the end of December. We have some amazing original artwork for sale by our artists and some products featuring artwork by our artists. And when artists sell their work, they receive a 50% commission.
You can shop online at soulgallery.org and visit their social media, FC Soul Studio, on Facebook and Instagram. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Brendon Schreiber.
Some medical marijuana products can look like regular treats. Kids, pets, or curious visitors can ingest these products and may experience overdose effects, such as extreme panic, hallucinations, and severe vomiting. Treat medical marijuana like any other medication. Clearly label all medical marijuana products and store them in their original packaging. Monitor and secure products in a safe location, such as a locked cabinet or lockbox.
Let's catch up. Not online or over text. Let's catch up in a place where time isn't measured in minutes, but in moments. Moments made paddling the day away on a crystal blue waterway. Or just sitting around a campfire beneath a canopy of twinkling stars. It's time to make up for lost time. This summer, let's catch up with Pure Michigan.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you for joining us, and if you missed our interview with Suzanne Levine, you can go back to civiccentertv.com and watch that in our archived interviews for The Splash, as well as our featured story on the Soul Studio at the Farber Center. We are so happy to have Noelle Essig with us. She is the Career and College Counselor at West Bloomfield High School, making sure her students are prepared going into their college years, into their career years. At West Bloomfield High School, obviously making an impact on those students. Thank you so much for joining us today, Noelle.
You're welcome. Hi, Maddie. Nice to meet you, actually. I
Yes.
haven't interviewed with you before, so thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So can you first go ahead and explain a little bit about what a day-to-day looks like as a career and college counselor and kind of what you do with the students there at West Bloomfield High School?
So my days vary. Obviously, in the very beginning of the year, well, let me just back up. My role is to work to support our students with their college and career planning. I work in tandem with our 6 counselors that we have here in the building. I am also a counselor, and really helping to educate our students on the career process, and knowing that that college selection process is quite involved. So I push into a lot of classrooms at the beginning of the school year to educate them on what they need to know as we start that senior year. In particular, the fall is really focused in on the seniors. And then right now we're kind of shifting focus, helping our seniors, but also looking to that junior year. So it varies a lot. If you were to peek in and see me at the beginning of the year, it was a lot of essay help that I provided with students. We do a lot of workshops that I lead, coordinating our college rep visits. So it kind of varies depending upon the time of year.
And obviously, college admissions is a very stressful time for those seniors and those juniors going into taking their ACT, their SATs. What do you have advice-wise to give to either those upcoming juniors or those seniors that maybe haven't heard back from their colleges yet?
So right now, I guess 2 different perspectives for the seniors right now that had a lot of November 1st early action deadlines. A lot of them are kind of breathing now, taking kind of they've got the applications in, and now is the nervous part, waiting, right? Advice for our seniors is just, at this point, you've done everything that you can do. I promise you that it all works out. If you desire to go to college, you can make that happen. For our juniors, my advice for them, as we're starting to really focus in on them, we have a parent night coming up, is really to take advantage of the gift of time that you have right now. Go and visit college campuses. But before we even talk about that, start to explore career opportunities. We're really at a unique point in especially in the state of Michigan, where we want students to research careers. What's the why for going to college? I just finished yesterday, I got back from an apprenticeship roadshow where we know there's a huge need for the skilled trades and some of the opportunities and salary ranges in the skilled trades. So really working with our juniors to know your why, finding out what your strengths are, having a career plan, and then finding out what is the best way to get that degree. Knowing that college is outrageously expensive, we want to make sure our students are very intentional and kind of look at the whole big picture before they just hone in on one school that they think they want to go to. Just stay real open-minded.
Some great advice for those kids. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously last year it might have affected college admissions a little bit more than this year, but do you see any difference or maybe hesitation with the kids looking to go to college, maybe the money aspect of it, or even the schooling? I mean, having in-person hybrid classes, it maybe had impacted them in the way that they prepared for college this year.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. COVID has kind of changed. What I'm seeing is kind of how we look at how we do education. We had a lot of, my neighbors had college students that were home for the entire year. Even now we have some students that are taking things virtually. So I think it's created a thing where families are really starting to think, hey, you know what, if I'm going to pay all that money for a class and I can do it virtually, do I want to look at, could I commute from home? Could I take that class at a community college? Really trying to be more open-minded, I see this year, with not being so worried about the name on the sweatshirt, but really looking at knowing that college is so expensive, how can I get that, those credits and get that degree without having to put myself in huge debt. One of the things that I see as a huge difference for our juniors is the whole testing requirements related to COVID. We've seen a lot of colleges, sorry about my phone ringing here. We've seen a lot of colleges pivot and go test optional. So students now that maybe haven't had access to taking the ACT and SAT 5 or 6 times that they would have done in the past, which I think is crazy, Colleges are now being test optional, many of them, so students are having choices whether to submit those test scores. So we've seen a lot of changes because of COVID, and I think there's been some positive things that have come that colleges have pivoted and view things differently.
And the college admissions process is very stressful for the students, but also for those counselors that have to, guide and help all of those kids, especially at West Bloomfield High School, a very large school. What has kind of inspired you to be a college counselor? You obviously have to be very strong and obviously a smart woman, guiding those kids into the next step of their life.
I think for me professionally, I have come full circle. So I, once I graduated with my undergrad degree, I stayed working in higher education. So I was a residence hall director at Truman State University. I then went and worked at Bowling Green State University where I got my master's. I was a hall director. And then I went back to CMU and I was an assistant director of admissions. So for me in this role, I've come full circle. I'm very passionate about my job. I love being able to work with high school students. I think they are just the best thing ever. Coming full circle, I think has been really rewarding. And I think, from a counselor perspective, the 6 counselors that I work with, we really love making a difference in the lives of students, and we have great kids. So it becomes, yes, it's stressful because of those deadlines and having to help them and write the letters of recommendation and see, how they're stressed out. And then, the 6 counselors have all their other responsibilities. I'm kind of fortunate that my sole focus is just working with students, college and career, doing the push-ins with the programming and newsletters. And I run a Canvas page that has a lot of informational videos for our students as well. So yeah, it's always crazy, but I think that's the thing that I personally love about it, is that we're always continuing to learn.
And then as we get into December, I know a lot of the students will be hearing back from colleges, whether that's an acceptance letter, a deferral, a straight out, denial of their application. Do you have anything that you tell your students once they get those letters, whether it's good or bad, mostly bad, if some sort of advice or words of comfort that you give to them?
I would just, things that I always say to the students is, I promise you that right now it seems very disappointing that maybe you had this, this goal of XYZ school, but I just promise you it all works out. And, not to be discouraged. And again, we're pivoting. Maybe you thought you were going to go to this school and it didn't work out, either financially, or, even students who get in just realize, wow, financially, this doesn't make sense. So they're going to pivot to something else. So much so I firmly believe you could go to what is perceived as the best college. Now, that could be another discussion you and I could talk about. But a lot of it is, what are you going to do with it? What do you do while you're on that college campus? And so I promise the students it will work out. There are also, if you had that heart set on going to a school that you didn't get into, the colleges will look for transfer students. So you go someplace else, you rock it out, and you can reapply as a transfer student. So it doesn't mean that the door is 100% closed, but just stay open-minded, reach out to us as a counseling team. We can, kind of help walk you through those next steps.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. The students at West Bloomfield are obviously very lucky to have you as their career and college counselor.
Thanks, Maddie. Great to be here.
Yes. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. If you missed any of the interviews or the story on our Farber Center Soul Studio, make sure to go back on our civiccentertv.com page under our featured stories and featured interviews under the Splash tab. You can watch us obviously every morning from 9:30 until 10 a.m. We're going to be on AT&T Channel 99 and Comcast Channel 15. And don't forget to, if you missed it, to go back and watch the beginning intro of our page and scan that QR code and nominate your person of the week. It could be a student, an educator, any business that you have that you would think that we at Civic Center TV would want to highlight. And again, make sure that you join us next week. We will be on Monday and Tuesday from 9:30 until 10 a.m. Thank you for watching The Splash.